Now, last night, this programme reported on research among teenagers which revealed disturbing levels of exchanges of sexually explicit material via mobile phones. Tonight, we look at how these new norms of extreme behaviour risk criminalising a generation, with the police dealing with more and more kids for what the law considers to be sex offenders. Rachel Seifert has this report.
There's nothing stopping you, unless you can't turn on your computer or anything. There's just nothing stopping you from typing in porn.
It's very common for boys to ask girls for naked photos, and they ask, boys compare naked photos with each other, in their school.
It just kind of happens now, and you just shrug it off and you just kind of get on with it.
New research by Channel 4 News and the NSPCC last night revealed that highly sexualised behaviour is becoming the norm of teenage life. But with technology driving a new sexual revolution, kids are just one click away from the wrong side of the law.
Children can be forgiven for finding the law confusing, because whilst two consenting 16-year-olds can have sex, if they send each other naked pictures, which is incredibly easy to do even on the most basic of mobile phones, that's child pornography, and they can be charged with a serious, life-changing offence. As this behaviour becomes the norm amongst young people, we potentially risk creating a whole generation of criminals.
We had the police turn up at the door at 6 o'clock in the morning. They searched the house and I had the police come into my room and wake me up. And at that point, my heart kind of sank.
Sean, not his real name, is living a nightmare. He had been dreaming of finishing school and was looking forward to his future. Like many 16-year-old boys, he had been looking online at pornographic images. But when the police came knocking, he knew he'd gone too far.
I got arrested for downloading indecent images of children. I was coming to terms with my sexuality, so no one seemed approachable in real life. And I think everything just drifted online and built up and up. And I didn't realise that some people might not be as genuine as I thought. And that's when I got introduced to this kind of stuff.
There's been an alarming increase in children like Sean arrested for sexual offences committed online. Often they'd been looking at images of other children of a similar age. The difficulty is working out what is normal teenage experimentation and who is potentially a danger.
In recent years, the police service has seen a very significant increase in the number of cases being reported to them of indecent images being sent by young people. Now, that's a very concerning trend. It's really through access to new technology, the internet, mobile phones particularly, that has enabled this to happen.
Hello, Stop It Now helpline. Can I help you?
To deal with this emerging issue, the police called on the Lucy Faithfull Foundation, a charity that has spent 20 years working with adult sex offenders.
So it's just to confirm to you that the helpline is confidential.
But for the last 12 months, they've turned their attention to young people who are in trouble with the law.
We've developed a new project in response to requests from the police who are concerned about children going online increasingly, committing illegal behaviours, but also to parents who are concerned about how to appropriately respond to their children's online behaviours, but also schools being concerned about illegal activity by their young people. So we've taken those concerns together, tried to bring a response to make sure that children who've committed illegal acts online get an effective response, to understand why they did it, what was harmful about it, how they can live a future law-abiding life.
After the early morning knock at the door, Sean was eventually convicted and placed on the sex offender register for 10 years. It's meant he's been suspended from school and will have to tell future employers of his criminal past. But he and his mum were also referred to the Lucy Faithfull Project for help.
You don't think, oh, I could get caught, I could get in trouble. You don't think these are images of abuse. You don't think anything. That kind of thing doesn't cross your mind. It's it's like a separate world kind of thing on the internet. And in real life, concerns don't really cross your mind because you think that behind your computer that you'll be fine.
And how did it feel as a parent when you found out that what offence your son had committed?
I just couldn't believe it had happened, and especially, I mean, I know he's my son, but he's such a lovely person, an intelligent person, and I was just really shocked. And then later on, when I found out exactly what offences had occurred, I was disgusted. I'm an older mum and I've got no idea about the internet at all, really. I actually didn't know that my own son was doing it because I couldn't really check because I didn't know how to.
For kids today, having lived their entire lives online, using the internet is second nature. But with so much content at their fingertips, they can all too easily stray into areas they shouldn't. Tom, we've changed his name, is an adult who has been placed on the sex offender register. He'd been looking at images of teenage girls, having been swept up in the online underworld.
How easy is it to find this sort of stuff on the internet and to end up in a place like you have?
It's very easy. I didn't find it difficult at all. I found surfing the internet very similar to flicking through channels on the television or something like that. And of course on the television you can flick through whatever you like and you're not going to come across anything that's illegal. Whereas on the computer it's relatively easy to suddenly find yourself in somewhere that's illegal.
Despite the ease of straying into illegality, the police often still have to act. They do have discretion, but they find themselves walking a difficult line.
We're very, very conscious that if a young person becomes criminalised, if they have a criminal record, if they're placed on the sex offenders register, that becomes a huge millstone around their neck in terms of their future lives and employability. But equally, we can't simply have people committing offences and not being subject to the law. The law has been put in place to protect children, and that's what we're all keen to do, clearly. But it has also been put in place in a different era, a different age.
With technology now driving modern life, it begs the question whether it's time to upgrade the law to fit the 21st century. We know kids are watching porn online and sharing indecent images, but unless we redefine how we deal with this, we risk criminalising a whole generation.
We've allowed this problem to arise. Someone needs to take stock of what's going on. That dialogue needs to take place, and at the moment I think in too many households it's not taking place. In too many schools children aren't being helped to work out what relationships should be about and where sex in a way belongs within developing relationships. It just feels like everything is really rather out of control at the moment, and someone needs to take some control over what's happening.
It's an issue that society can't afford to ignore, because for those caught in the net, the consequences can be devastating.
I would be stereotyped now as someone who snatched a child off the street or something, and people forget that I'm actually a child myself. I think it's just understanding that everybody's case is different, and that while there are some people out there who might be monsters, that actually lots of people have just made mistakes that needed help but had nowhere to turn to.